Hello and welcome to Grumpy Gamers. You're here with me, Pete, and along me this week I have Ben.
Hello.
And Kirk.
Hello, but did you just say along me this week? You didn't say
I said
with.
along with me.
I don't think you did. Nah, it's going to be on record.
Oh, well, the recording will prove it one way or the other. Either way, you had your greeting.
Cracking start.
Yeah, great start. Hey. Positivity from the off. And
brain's frazzled.
Not here.
Brain frazzled. What do you want from me?
Fraddled.
Did you say fraddled?
Yeah, I said fraddled. Yeah.
Dear God, that's so much worse. Okay, right. Yeah. It's a strong start. But yes, obviously we are without Eddie, who warned us nicely in advance that he wouldn't be on this week.
He did. Unlike Kirk, he tells us well in advance. Actually, Eddie said that he's unavailable for 2 weeks in a row, whereas Kirk just says half an hour before the podcast, "Sorry, can't be on."
Yeah,
you are lucky to have me on when I am.
That's a strong statement. But anyway.
Lucky is a big term. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. But as well as that, it is obviously baking hot in the UK, so we've all got windows open. Get on with it. It'll be fine.
There might be noise. There might be background noise. I'll do what I can in the edit, but also I don't try that hard.
Not all heroes wear capes, eh?
Yeah. We're also recording a day late, so he has very little time to edit. So,
Yeah, the edit will be 15 to 20 minutes max.
Exactly, yeah. It's a professional job. Professional podcasting, as ever. So,
I'm not
before we get to that, we are, of course, going to take you through the news, the new releases, a bit of what we've been playing, which is slightly familiar to last week for at least one of us. And our feature this week is a bit of a recap on Summer Games Fest and the Xbox Showcase, of course, because they've dominated everything for the last week.
Yep. It's E3 season, or not quite E3, or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah,
it's E3.
Alt
the
E3?
No longer E3 season.
Yeah.
It's Jeff Keighley season. Anyway, one of his 2 seasons, because he also comes around at Christmas.
That's He's who's that artist that comes around? Michael Bublé.
Michael Bublé.
Yeah, he's like Michael Bublé, isn't he? Coming out the fucking cave.
That's so true. That's great.
Fantastic. Anyway, before we get to all that, we will of course start with the quick news.
We will. So we're not going to be talking about this later because it's not covered in the feature, but Citizen Sleeper 2 was announced. I think it was the PC kind of showcase.
Yes.
But yeah, it came second in our Game of the Year last year, didn't it? So
the first one, yes.
Yes, the first one. So it's good. Not that one. We didn't get it that early. But so big announcement there. A lot of people will be interested in that. I'm sure we'll get to play it at some point. So
definitely. I'm really interested in what they do with that,
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Because the storytelling was pretty stellar, wasn't it?
Fantastic, yeah.
I really hope it's voice acted.
Of course you do.
That's my one thing.
It would be a nice addition, wouldn't it? It would be a really nice addition.
Like, if there's anything with a bigger budget for a sequel, if they can Disco Elysium it a little bit with the everything voice acted, that would be tremendous. Because, not gonna lie, it was a bulky read. Not gonna lie.
Ben does not like reading.
No, I don't. No, I do not. Not a reader. Never been accused of that. Next up, again, we'll talk about this game later properly in detail, but Starfield. They told us what the pre-orders, the pre-order packages would be. It's £100 to pre-order Starfield, which gives you 5 days early access, and that's quite cunning, isn't it? So Starfield obviously coming to Game Pass for Xbox, and to offer that pre-order for £100 for 5 days, a lot of people are going to see that as quite significant. I don't know if I can bring myself to do it, but you know what I'm like.
Yes, I do. I'm expecting you'd be the only one who would.
Yes, perhaps. Also, they announced that there's a £250 Constellation edition. And that comes with a cool-looking watch, which they showed off during the showcase. It's a smartwatch, I think. It connects to your phone and everything.
It is.
So it looked really cool. And actually, it probably, in some way, justifies the price of that bundle. But you do not get a physical copy of the game, as is now commonplace when you buy these incredibly
you get
expensive
Steelbook.
bundles.
You get Steelbook with a slot for it. Fuck's sake.
Well, you get a Steelbook for a slot, and then maybe down the line you can get the game on the cheap, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's probably the way you'd go about doing it, isn't it?
It's not good.
But yeah, so that's expensive, but that's coming. They also advertised a new controller, and Kirk can give us the inside scoop on that one.
Yeah, they're fucking great. I just had mine delivered today, and they look wonderful. Probably, honestly, the best looking and just feeling controllers that Xbox have done. They really are quite something. So.
Oh, does it feel different? Does it have?
I don't know what it is, but it does.
So no.
So I. Yeah, let's just go in there. Fuck it. I can't be asked. It's too hot. It's too hot. But they look fantastic, honestly. Really, really nice. I got two. So I've got one that's open and one that's sealed. So,
which is a weird approach for a man who does not care about Starfield.
No, I know. But I appreciate good design. So what do you want from me?
It does look wonderful. The design
he likes a collectible.
I do.
Yeah. And they also had a headset, which I think is exactly the same as the normal Xbox headset, which I have used, and it is really, really nice. But the normal one's like £50. This is £115 for basically a reskin.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
That is fucking extortionate. I was interested about the controller, because the controller is the same price, is it not? It's £70.
£70, yeah.
And what's the normal controller?
I think about 50, 55.
Oh, is it? Okay, so slight markup.
Yeah.
But £115 for that headset. I tried to look and see if there's any kind of like difference. I couldn't see any. So that just seems mind-blowing.
Yeah, but people have paid it. There's so many people over Twitter that I've seen that have got both delivered today, and they love it. They absolutely love it.
And how quick was that delivery? 2 days.
I bought it Sunday night, and it's been delivered this morning, so that's not bad.
And it's Tuesday, yeah. So it's fucking fantastic, isn't it? Anyway, yeah. But I wanted that headset, but not for that money. Next up, Blasphemous 2. That got a release date of the 24th of August. That's the hack and slash Souls-like. I don't think any of us have played it, but the first one got very, very good reviews and is well thought of. Legend of Zelda. It's getting a film. Reportedly, It's happening and going to be done by Universal.
Yeah,
so I don't...
I think we're going to see this a lot, That's just like every franchise getting a film.
Well, we have heard a lot about Sony's different projects, things like that, and Twisted Metal was shown.
There's been a big kick-up with this kind of stuff now, hasn't there? Like, everybody. Yeah. They've got Gran Turismo, God of War, like you said, Twisted Metal. I think Nintendo are probably going to be like farming out a lot of their IP after the success of Super Mario Bros.
Well, the Mario movie's getting a second one. I think that's on pause at the moment because of a writer's strike or something. That's some bonus quick news for you there.
There is a writer's strike, yes.
But I imagine Zelda has to... And Metroid could be another one. So let's see how those ones progress. Just a quick one. Final Fantasy 16, the demo is live. And the prologue is available to play in full. That carries over to progress to the full game. There's another 2.5 hours of a battle segment part. And from everyone I've been hearing online talk about it, they are raving about this, and the combat system and everything. So it's really shaping up to be something good.
Yeah, and I like the fact that the prologue carries over. That's,
so do I.
I think always a good touch. You don't want to replay the bit you've already played.
No, you don't. Especially, a week or two before release. You just, you get that out there and then let people... Because people want to feel like they're actually starting to play the game. And that's how you get people to then spend the money, isn't it? So,
yes. Yeah.
But I will play this. I want to download this because at some point I'll probably play Final Fantasy 16. It's not... I don't think it's going to be now. But it does look really good. So
it does. Except for that name, Clive...
Yes,
I think it looks fantastic. Yeah,
yeah. I imagine it's a pricing issue as well. Like day one prices are so massive, and this will come down in price. Obviously, I can see you getting it in the future, though, Pete.
100%. Yeah, if it's on PC, especially.
Yeah,
yeah.
And the last one of the quick news: Diablo 4 is Blizzard's fastest selling game of all time.
Yes, indeed.
And I think it was pretty much hitting that target when it was in early access. So it had 3 days of early access before its full release, and it was hit that. And this is just testament to now the fact that Diablo has hit the mainstream. I don't think, obviously, Diablo 3 and 2 Resurrected when that came out and all that, it hit a big audience. But this is like nothing they've seen, I don't think. So
There you go. I would just like to correct your, well, not correct, maybe add to your Starfield £100 pre-order, because there are two versions of that. You've got the £100 one, which includes the game, but there is also a £35 premium upgrade if you use the Game Pass version.
Oh.
So you get the
just
early
gives you a
access.
code for the first couple of days.
You get an early access on that. So it's basically everything in the £100 version minus the game.
Yeah.
Ah.
So
That's quite
so
a
if
good
you
balance.
then go on to the Game Pass version,
Yes.
do you say it's £35 less?
No,
it's
£35. Just £35.
It's £35.
Yeah, it's £35.
Oh, right. So you're saying, brilliant. That is a real good update to the story, actually. So that means it's £35 to play it for 5 days beforehand.
Correct.
Yeah.
Fucking right. All right. That's more reasonable.
I think we know what Ben's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, in Eddie and probably Pete's eyes, that is extortion. But
It's
I'm
almost
now
3 times
interested.
less for you, buddy. So
I'm
Well,
now
also-
interested.
The funny bit is, it depends when those 5 days are. Like, if that included a weekend, it's potentially worth it. Any other time, nah.
Yeah, I want that to be on a Friday, because
Yeah.
and you want it to the normal release to be on a Tuesday or something. I don't know if that is exactly 5 days, but you don't want it to be that you're getting it on a Monday
Exactly.
and then it comes out on the Friday. That is a really good point.
Well,
Actually. I reckon they'll plan the pre-order for the Friday.
is it the
I reckon
6th?
so
Is
as
it the 6th of September? It comes out. Is that
Actually,
right?
yeah,
think
we
it
could work
is.
that out, couldn't we?
Yeah.
You can literally find that out.
You work back. It's the Friday. It will allow you
It's
to
a
play.
Wednesday. It's the 6th.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be the Friday. Yeah.
There you go.
Clever people.
Oh, there we go.
It
Yeah,
might be worth it even for me.
there you go. Get a whole weekend on it. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe take a couple days leave. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we go.
Fantastic.
Right. Excellent addition there, Kirk. Now you're first up in the actual news.
Yeah, well, following on from that little tidbit of Starfield news, I've got some more info for you on Starfield.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I know. So, Starfield is locked at 30 frames per second on consoles. So, this was confirmed by Todd Howard that the Series X will run at 4K and the Series S will run at 1440p, and both will be locked at 30 frames a second. This was during an interview with IGN after the Starfield Direct, which followed the Xbox Games Showcase. So, Howard said, "I think it will come as no surprise, given our previous games, what we go for. Always these huge open worlds, fully dynamic, hyper detail where anything can happen." So, I personally don't think there's a need to get bogged down by this 30 frames a second malarkey, because although I'm an advocate for, I like games to be 60 frames a second, but those games need to be 60 frames when it's racing games or fast-paced first-person shooters, because it kind of requires it. This is a game that rewards your exploration. It wants you to take all the details in. It's not meant to be a fast-paced game in that respect. So I don't know why everyone's kicking up such a fuss, and I think it's just following on from the Redfall debacle that we had recently, but they're not the same game. This is a massive, massive game. I mean, like we said, we'll talk about it more later, but it's, what they've managed to achieve, and if it comes out the way that they are anticipating, it's phenomenal. They could even get it to locked at 30, I'd say. So
I think your point there, Kirk, is quite an important one, because from what I've been hearing from people a bit more in the know, would be that it might not be possible to get it. It's not like it's unfinished. It's not like they've not tried to.
it's the scale, isn't it?
It might not be possible to get it close to 60. And not only that, and I do understand if it's not hitting 60 and then it's fluctuating, it's better to have it locked and have it smooth. I get it. What that I think the problem with this is, obviously 60 frames is better than 30. I think most people agree with that, and I love a game at 60.
Mm-hmm.
But it is usually an indication of some kind of problem with performance. I'm not saying that in this case, that it could be a legitimate decision based on the size and scale of the game and all that kind of stuff. So I have no fucking idea. But I think that's where it comes from. And then we're still riding the Redfall, as you said, the Redfall kind of disappointment, because, and the kicking back to the Aaron Greenberg tweet of the standard output is 60 frames a second.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, like, we all expected this, didn't we?
Yes. I think we probably did. And I'm with you, Kirk. I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
obviously we also saw a couple of days ago the fact that this is only 125 gigabytes. And again, I think in scale, that seems mad to me as well. So everything I've seen about this game just suggests to me that it was going to be 30 frames a second.
Yeah.
And I'm not disappointed in that. That is no problem for me.
I agree with both of you as well. That Kirk's point about certain type of games need it. Completely agree. Most of this game is not a shooter, and even when we've seen it be a shooter, it
looks smooth, doesn't it?
It's slow paced. It's slow paced, and if it's 30 locked, then I think as long as it's smooth, I think that's it, isn't it? Because when I played Redfall, the frame rate wasn't the issue.
It was
and
the
I
game.
played a couple of hours of Redfall. It was just boring. Like, I just found it a bit boring. But once the initial 10 minutes kind of left you, like once you got past that, everything kind of settled down and you didn't really notice it. I don't know. I think it's one of those things. If you get fully immersed in the game, you won't notice it after you've played it for a couple of hours.
Well, you've got just a side note. Games like Horizon have run at 30 when they're running at 4K, right? So that you get as much visual fidelity as possible, and
it's fucking atrocious. But yeah.
Okay. But people are happy with things like that. Like they give these certain games a pass, but for some reason they can't give Bethesda a pass with this.
But Horizon did have a 60 frames mode. It has a performance mode as well. The problem here is that there's no option, and there's. I do think it's when you have an option that it looks worse, because like with Horizon, I tried it on both modes, obviously, as we all do, and then most of us then go to performance mode, I would say. But when there's no option, you kind of accept what you're given.
Yeah.
And then you'll just react. And just like, so I've just said Horizon was atrocious in 30 frames. It was to me because I was comparing it to the 60 frames.
Okay.
But if I was forced to just pay the 30, it would have been fine. It would have been fine.
I mean... I was just going to say, to lock this one out, and I did that on purpose, it's going to be fine. People are going to forget it as soon as they play this. The hype around this game is unbelievable, and no one is saying anything bad apart from some shit stirrers online, really. That's what it is. So
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think the other thing to remember is there's going to be people complaining about something regardless. Yeah. Like, it's a Bethesda game. It's going to be buggy. Be prepped for that now.
Pete, today some Xbox exec has come out and said this will be the least buggy Bethesda game.
Oh, that's a brave comment.
Yeah, but that's a limbo bar to hurdle. Like, come on, man! Like, the least buggy Bethesda game. That's not even a statement.
Also, there's not really an objective measurement for this. So
yeah, exactly.
You can't really be wrong.
Yeah, my god. Anyway, yeah, basically. Move on, it's 30 frames a second.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Deal with it.
Yeah. Something else I would love to move on from is the Microsoft Activision deal. But we're still unable to do so. Thank you, Kirk. So this time it's the FTC, not the CMA, although we'll involve them in it as well. So the US antitrust agency, the FTC, is reportedly set to file an injunction with a federal court in an effort to temporarily halt Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Yeah, so they did this before. They did it in December. What was it? Claiming it would allow the company to suppress competition, which we've talked about before. Mm-hmm. And the hearing for that is set to be deliberated by an administrative law judge. It's set for the 2nd of August, which is after the merger deadline expires on the 18th of July.
Lovely.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense they've done this, really, when you think about it. And actually, I'm not sure Microsoft see it as too bad a thing, to be honest. The statement we got from Microsoft President Brad Smith was, "We welcome the opportunity to present our case in federal court. We believe accelerating the legal process in the US will ultimately bring more choice and more competition to the market." Yeah. So I don't think anyone's too unhappy about it. It's not an actual stop on anything. It's just we need the time.
The headline was grabby, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, hugely so, yes. Hugely.
The headline was huge.
Yes. For our listeners, Ben had put next to it, brackets, not a big deal. Which was useful, because when you initially saw it, you did go, oh my God,
yes, what? When I initially heard about it, I was like, oh, shit, that means they're fucked. No, it doesn't really.
Yeah.
It just means that things are moving on. I mean, the FTC are just protecting from Microsoft just completing the deal regardless without regulatory approval from CMA or themselves. So it's kind of a standard move, you think, in this?
You would imagine it's exactly what they'd expect. And I'd imagine Microsoft already knew it was coming.
And if the FTC didn't do this, it would be like they'd be remiss for not doing it, wouldn't they? I
don't think it would work without them doing this, if it makes sense. I don't think this would progress without them doing this, which is an odd one when it's an injunction, but, there we go. It does also help because the CMA, by the way, have a tribunal hearing on this on the 24th of July. So it also happily captures that as well.
Right. Excellent.
Nice. But it also signals Microsoft's potential intention to just say, fuck it, we're completing this regardless. We'll work it out.
In theory, yeah, it could do.
I mean, in theory, it's like the FTC have moved to block this. The CMA thing's go, even if they approve it, the CMA thing's still not going ahead for the moment, and Microsoft's just going, well, fuck it, we'll just sort that in the background, and if it doesn't sort out, well, you just don't get it in the UK. See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. I don't think they'd do that with the US, but
no,
it's that would be a bit of a blocker when your headquarters is there and everything else. Yeah. But absolutely. It's man does job once again.
Man does job. People
do jobs. Yes.
Commission does commissioning things.
Yeah.
Yes, moving on. More Xbox news. Now, not a lot of news this week. I'm just going to be honest. This was heavily showcase driven.
Yeah.
All of this, this. But Microsoft at the showcase. We're not going to talk about it in the feature, but they announced a new Series S 1 terabyte model. Mm-hmm. It's also black, which is nice and sleek.
Yeah.
It's available on the 1st of September. It's going to be priced $50 higher than the standard Series S. Now, I assume that's between £30 and £50 more in the UK. The UK Series S model is currently £230. A Series X is $450.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether this really impacts their USP of the cheap entry system. If it is £50 more, it's quite a significant rise.
It is, but it's not a replacement, is it? It's just another option.
Yep, true.
That's right. So I think it's just for those who don't want to immediately have to go and buy externals. And when you think so many games are 100 gigabytes, you now can kind of fit 10 on. That's a win for quite a few people.
I do, yeah. I think it is. I think it's almost required for an S in a way.
Also, the Seagate 512 gigabyte expansion card is about. It's usually around 120 quid. So there is a significant saving there.
Doing it this way. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So
if you're committed,
so we're in agreement.
I think that's the main thing. Yeah.
Well, I do think the Series S is a fantastic piece of kit. I do think
definitely.
It's amazing, and all the games are coming out on it. So whether people can argue in the background who aren't developers that this thing is holding things back. Again, not developers, but just random people saying that. It's holding the generation back, etc. But regardless, all the games will be on the Series S. So it's a good entry system.
Yeah.
God, what an uncontentious news section we've had, though. We've all kind of agreed on everything. How disappointing. Do better, guys. More adversarial stuff. Come on now.
I'm sure there'll be more stuff coming in the showcases, mate. Don't you worry.
Yeah, we can get angry there at each other.
Yes, and everything else around it. Or not. Let's get to that. But before that, we have the new releases, which, as Eddie's not here, sadly falls to me.
Oh, with such enthusiasm.
I know. I'm expecting accents.
I would like accents.
There will definitely not be any accents except the cut glass you get as standard.
Brilliant.
Right, so the new releases for this week. Let's start
Vim
with...
and Vigor, at least.
There might be a little bit of Vim. We'll see how we go.
Vim.
Fall of Porcupine, which comes to PC, PlayStations, Xboxes and Switch on the 15th. Fall of Porcupine is a unique story adventure, the collision of work and daily life, an exciting reflection of an unhealthy healthcare system. Experience the exciting story of Finley and his friends in a lovingly illustrated world and uncover the darkest secrets of Porcupine and its residents. Okay, ignore that blurb. This actually looks pretty good.
I'm disappointed immediately that you didn't mess up a word or something on purpose.
I'm sorry. I'm sure one will come by accident or I'll forget something or whatever, but...
This week, I had a voice note. From Mark, Eddie's dad. saying, how could we let this happen? How could we let Eddie go away for 2 weeks? And the podcast is going to go to shit. He might not even listen.
Oh wow!
I mean, it would make sense if he didn't. To be fair, but yeah,
because of such effort that Eddie puts in. So I think to pay tribute, you've got to fuck up some words, Pete.
You know what?
Get
Flemmy.
Get Flemmy. That's what you need to do.
I don't know if I can do that through choice. We'll just see if that happens. But I'll find a word that's more than one syllable, and in true Eddie format, I'll fail it. Don't worry. We'll get there. We'll get there. But I wasn't going to start with this one because Fall of Porcupine actually looks pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's an odd little game, but it's got a sense of humour, at least from what I've seen, in a similar style to Scrubs, which is a very good thing, in my opinion.
Do you mean Scrubs the show, yeah?
Scrubs the TV show, yes.
Right, okay.
And much like Scrubs, it is indicting the US healthcare system, which is quite amusing when it's done in this particular format. But it's got a high production value, and it looks kind of like a great game for people who like Night in the Woods.
It does, doesn't it? It's pretty much... It's very, very similar to A Night in the Woods.
Very similar. And I do think it looks really good.
Yes, so do I. Looks excellent.
Looks charming. I've got to say that. It's got a little charm.
Yeah, you could add heartwarming, and I mean Porcupine being the town name kind of threw me a little bit, but the fact that it's fall also I liked because it's autumn.
It's autumn, yeah. I was a little bit. Yeah. I'm assuming the protagonist is a pigeon. Is it a pigeon?
He looks like a pigeon.
Yeah. That's what I was confused with. I was like,
I'm pretty certain he's a pigeon. Yeah. It's the town of Porcupine. That's the thing. Okay.
Can we stop agreeing?
No.
Shut up, Ben.
Fuck you, Ben.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Either way, that one looks like a good one. Yeah. Layers of Fear, which comes to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X on June the 15th. All stories must come to an end, even twisted and eerie ones. Nice. The canvas, the stage, the novel. This narrative-focused psychological horror experience is ready for its final brushstrokes, its curtain call, its final chapter. Are you ready to return and face your fears one last time? Yeah, Layers of Fear.
I liked that, Pete. I got chills.
Good. I mean, the way they've laid it out, it had to be done that way. But it is yet another psychological horror game. So I will say the environments and the lighting look pretty gorgeous, and it is made by the same people who made Medium.
Is it?
So it is, yeah. Oh. So there's some good stuff going on there, but I could not be less interested in a genre.
Yeah, it's a Twitch. It's a Twitch genre for me.
It really is, yeah. It's one people who enjoy watching more than playing, I reckon.
It did look cool. It looked pretty decent, like graphically and put together and everything, didn't it? So.
It looks lovely. Yeah, it looks lovely.
You said it's made by is it Blooper? Is that right? Were they the ones who made
Blooper Team? Team made
Bluebird.
Yes. They're the ones that made the Medium, didn't they? I didn't like the Medium at all. I thought it was crap. This doesn't fill me confidence to jump into this one.
So, Kurt, your opinion there is, I think, most people's opinion. I quite liked the Medium, except I didn't really follow the story towards the end, and I don't know if that's on me or if that's on
no. It was very confusing. I do remember us talking about that.
Okay.
It was odd.
Where is
it was
this?
Very odd.
Again, I can't say that's not on us because.
I mean, I am full on stupid. Yes, I understand, and so.
And I sometimes miss the.
You do two things at once. So, you probably played this whilst you were watching the football. So
absolutely, I cannot multitask, but I continually multitask.
Yeah.
One day.
I'm curious as to why both of you think lots of people hated Medium when it's got really positive reviews. But
I think it wasn't what people expected.
Isn't that
I think people thought it was a bit boring, actually.
Yeah,
I thought it had a cool mechanic and everything, but
fair enough. Yeah. Well, it's got very positive on Steam, so they've done something right.
Yeah.
With that one.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're into psychological horrors, have another one to add to the list. So we move on to Park Beyond, which comes to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X on June the 16th. Park Beyond is a theme park simulation game that gives you the freedom to create and manage the parks of your dreams. Whether you love to manage finances and visitor experience or just create fun and cozy parks, the game has something in store just for you.
Does it though?
It's Theme Park Manager.
Yeah.
With addition. Actually, to be fair, that's unfair. It is Theme Park Manager. It's got some surprising depth of functionality. It must be said. You can do things like terraforming landscapes to build your own mountains and lakes and all this sort of stuff.
Okay.
Which I thought was a really interesting addition. And it obviously has sandbox mode, as you'd expect, but it also has a campaign, which I couldn't find much about, but it sounds like it's actually thought of and developed on.
Have a certain amount of days without a roller coaster accident or something?
Or have as many as you can in a day.
Oh, Jesus.
I think Eddie would say, you know what? I'm not going to shit on this.
Yeah, that's exactly what you would say.
That's what he'd say.
I think Eddie would say that, and I think he'd secretly wishlist it for when it comes down.
I think he would, and his reason in his head would be that he can manage the finances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he likes designing stuff. Let's be honest, it's just base building with a veneer for Eddie. So.
There you go.
There is also an ongoing play test, or at least there was when I last checked. So if you really wanted to, you could jump on that right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. They've had some betas and stuff on this.
Yes, indeed, and it is actually still ongoing right this moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. So next up, we have the one that I think at least one of us is excited for, and that's Aliens: Dark Descent, which comes to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and the older generations on June the 20th. Drop into the gripping journey of Aliens: Dark Descent, a squad-based single-player action game in the iconic Alien franchise. Lead your soldiers in real time to stop a new and terrifying kind of xenomorph outbreak on planet Lether. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Aliens: Dark Descent. Ben, I assume you're really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's kind of like an isometric, squad-based real-time, like tactics game.
It's XCOM Aliens, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, but in real time. I'm really looking forward. That's exactly what it is, I think, Pete. Mm-hmm. It seems to have, especially like the out of mission stuff, seems really kind of deep. I was watching like a deep dive video on it. I was like, Jesus Christ, they've really gone into this. It's a relatively budget release, I think, for new releases. Obviously, I think it's like 35 quid for a new release game. That's pretty good. Yeah. I have been from the outset excited about this game, and I'm all in. Like, you can take your characters, you promote them after battles and stuff like that, and I assume there's permadeath and all this kind of stuff. So it looks good, like genuinely good.
Yeah, it does. I agree with you. Kirk, what do you think? Is this one you'd be interested in?
Not really, because it's isometric, and the only Aliens stuff I want to kind of get involved with.
Fucking
I want,
snob.
Thank you. I want a Alien Isolation 2. That's what I want.
What if it was isometric?
Well, I wouldn't play it, but I don't think they'd make an Isolation 2 isometric.
No, they wouldn't. You got me there.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant.
My God.
I mean, it does. Look, it looks nice. And you're saying it's a budget release as well, which means it's gonna tick some boxes for a lot of people, but it's just not something that I care for personally.
It's the depth from what I was looking at. Like if you go onto the first video on Steam and just watch that, it's like 6 minutes just going into like the intricacies of the game. I think it's fucking brilliant.
Fair enough.
I will say, by the way, I looked immediately at the developer for this because it's Tindalos, who are part of Focus Entertainment, and I did look at it and went, no wonder Ben likes to look at this. They made Plague Tale, they made SnowRunner. They made Atomic Heart, Vampire. They're involved in...
I liked Vampire.
I thought you did, yeah. They actually made one I liked, which was Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. But they also make an awful lot of simulator games.
So are you saying they never miss?
They never miss. No, they do. They make simulator games. But what I'm saying is there's an awful lot of stuff in there that suggests they know how to make a good game.
Damn right. Looking forward to it. I'm probably going to get it at launch.
I thought you probably would. Excellent. I look forward to your review.
Yep.
So we come to Crash Team Rumble, which comes to PS5, Xbox Series X, and the older generations on June the 20th. Crash Team Rumble is a 4v4 team-based competition where the iconic heroes and villains of the Crash universe battle to capture more Wumpa fruit than the other to claim victory. It was difficult to find a blurb for this one, I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, so we make do with what we've got there. It's Crash Team Rumble. It's kind of what you'd expect it to be, isn't it?
I think it costs money, Pete. I think it costs fucking money. I assumed this was free to play. Am I right or wrong? This is free to play written all over it, but I think it costs genuine money.
I believe it does cost money, Ben. Yes, I don't know how much.
Fucking hell! Like,
but
I'm 25 quid, I think, or 35. 35 for the deluxe, 25 quid maybe.
35 pounds. Yeah.
I mean,
oh my God,
this is gonna die, isn't it?
That was my immediate assumption. Obviously, it's full of popular franchise characters. I don't really see the appeal.
Are they that popular? Like, Kirk, you like Crash, don't you?
I like Crash, but all I know is Crash, and I know he's got a sister. I couldn't even tell you what her name was. I played as her in Crash 4, and the fucking is Spyro in there as well? Like, I think that's about.
I do not know.
That's about it. I think Spyro makes an appearance, but everybody else in there, I kind of recognise some of them, but that's about it. Unless you're really deep into Crash Bandicoot's lore, I don't think you can catch a lot of it.
Crash Bandicoot was the shit back in the day, but when Crash 4 came out, I mean, you were interested in it. I liked it. Release, did you? You got it after release, right? When it's like 20 quid or something, when you'd given up the Activision boycott.
Yes, yeah. But even if I wasn't doing the boycott, I still would have waited, because it wasn't an immediate for me. But I don't know what's happened to Crash.
I just don't know who cares about Crash anymore. I think
Activision know that not many people are going to care about this game as well if it's 35 quid. So
to be honest, I reckon as well as that, as part of the acquisition, Microsoft went, just get that out there, right? We don't want that on our roster. Get it out there before anything else.
On our plate. We don't want it on our plate.
Get that one out into the world when it's still
you don't want us to put that on Game Pass, do you? That takes up valuable space, valuable server space.
We'd have to give it some marketing. These are all things we can't do, guys. Get it out there before the end of the deal. Yeah, right. So Crash Team Rumble. Look forward to that one, everybody.
No.
And then we come to Lost Hero of Nostalgaya.
Here we go.
Which is actually having a release for PS4 and Switch on June the 20th as well. This is
you haven't got a blow.
No, there's no blurb because this has already come out. It's been out quite a while.
We've already talked about it before, haven't we?
We have, yes, because Eddie could not say the name to save his life.
Did you see Nostalgia by any chance?
Yeah, I think he tried to and failed at that as well. This is the satirical Souls-like RPG game, and it is coming out on these platforms because there's also a DLC called The Rise of Evil coming out the same day.
Cool.
The DLC brings new areas, new items, new enemies, all what you'd expect, I suppose. But it's an actual decent, solid expansion by the look of it. But yeah, it also comes to PS4 and Switch because of this.
It's cool that it's got a DLC, which means that it must have done pretty well. Because I remember when we spoke about this before. I don't know whether it's just the trailer that gets me going, this is cool. And it probably is the trailer, because it is very satirical. The humour's there, but it is a Dark Souls game. But your character is just a blank slate. You're just
quite literally, yes.
You're just like a line character, or whatever, a stickman type thing.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It has got good reviews in general. Yeah. The main game, it does seem to. It's got a very good sense of humour and some decent writing by the look of it, doesn't it? But
yeah. I
did not realise it was popular enough to get a DLC, so well done.
No, and it mixes two genres it mixes
100%.
Like the Souls-like with satirical humour, which you wouldn't imagine would necessarily be a match made in heaven.
Although I suppose you have to take it with a pinch of satirical humour when you're dying for the 50th time to a boss. So
yeah, true story.
It dovetails nicely. It works nicely. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. And then the final game of the week is Trepang 2. I'm sure that's how that's intended, which comes to PC. No space
between the Trepang or the 2 either.
Yes, no, between Trepang or 2, it's all one thing. Which comes out on June the 21st. Become the ultimate badass in Trepang 2, a gory, action-packed FPS set in the distant future. Unleash all hell on your enemies, dodge bullets, and leave a trail of destruction in this hardcore and frenetic shooter.
Okay, mate.
Yeah, you're a soldier with supernatural powers and no memory. My God, really?
There's nothing.
You're a derivation of a derivation, and honestly, everything about this seems to be heavily focused on gameplay and action. It seems to have a similar sort of loop to Doom, I would say.
Yeah.
Obviously, not with demons, just with poor innocent people or possibly aliens who may also be innocent. You just run around murdering everything.
It looks fine, doesn't it? Like, as a shooter, it looks absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing, though, is there?
there's just some odd stuff about it as well. It's like set in the distant future, and like, the guns are like a basic-looking AK and a Glock.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like how far distant are you, and why have we not advanced much?
Hey.
But I bet they don't go into that in the game.
This is
they don't.
This is the second one though, so the first one must have been good.
I'm not sure, Kirk, because there isn't a space between the name and the number 2. I think they're just selling us a dummy.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And
Just
I mean,
skip the first game entirely.
Yeah.
The amusing thing is, I'm bagging on this, but it is from Team 17, the publisher.
Oh, it
they
is.
miss.
So
Okay.
They miss less than most.
I've got to talk good about Team 17. I've done some stuff for them, so I can't say bad things. It's a good game. Good game. Good game.
Good game.
Yeah,
Good game.
GG.
Good game.
Yeah, dear God, dear God.
Great
yeah.
name drop as well, Kirk. Great name drop.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah, was it potentially framing games for them or something?
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
shocked.
Pete, don't get him started.
I'm just going to say branch out. But until we get to that, that is the end of the new releases for this week. And I think it's obvious that Fall of Porcupine is the pick of the week.
Fair. I think that's
Fair enough.
That's my.
I thought that it looked really good.
Yeah, and I think it's not because I don't think Aliens Dark Descent is also going to be a good game. It's because I've never heard of Fall of Porcupine, except possibly in like a little showcase somewhere where it was briefly mentioned and then forgotten. And on looking at it, it actually looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it either. And this seemed like it would have been perfect to slip into one of these showcases, like Summer Games Fest or something. And same with Aliens Dark Descent. We joked about it last week. I was sure that was going to be a showcase.
But no.
And no. I mean, it releases on the 20th of June. Who do we know who knows this is even releasing?
I don't...
no one. Like, this is just going to slip away.
Well, this is one of those...
I bet you Punk knew about it. I bet you Punk knew. There you go.
Yeah. He may well have.
This is one of those games that just doesn't have the marketing budget. They haven't, and just you either get lost or you don't. Hopefully it gets picked up. I mean, I'll play it. So
they've spent it all on production value instead. That's what they've done.
But as we found out, that does and can work.
It can. Yeah, it's the long game, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the long game. If your game is exceptional, it will get it will do numbers. I suppose for an indie studio as well, it'll. That you don't have to do tremendous numbers to.
Yeah, that number is 7 to earn back your costs. But no,
but
it looks a lot more expensive than that. Yes, I reckon that's going to be a sleeper. Excellent. Well, we're on to what we've been playing, gents, and once again, we're going to start with Kirk.
Okie dokie. Well, I had the pleasure of playing with my friend's PSVR 2 on Friday.
Of course you did, yeah.
Yes. So I tried a couple of things, but I'm going to talk about Horizon Call of the Mountain because that was the thing I spent most of the time in. Apparently, I spent about an hour and a half in there. Couldn't fucking tell you if that was true or not because I kind of got lost in there. So first thing I noticed when I started playing is it is a huge step up in fidelity from the PSVR 1. It's night and day. Now, when I started jumped into the game, there's essentially like this interactive video, which we've seen in all the trailers and stuff, where you're in this boat, you're looking around at all of the machine creatures that are in the distance, and they come up close, etc. And it's the one with the tall neck that comes over you. That tall neck, I shit you not, whilst I was in this VR setup, I looked up and I genuinely got a sense of scale. Like, it is fucking incredible. I don't know how else to explain it. It literally took me back a bit, and I out loud went, "Whoa!" And when I came out, there were a couple of things that my mate told me, and he was like, "You were just like proper in your element in there." And I was like, "It's fucking real." I know it's not real, but you know what I mean. There was this other point. He said to put your hand in the water. That's obviously over the side of the boat, and the haptics in the controller start vibrating, and because you can visually see the water, and because you get this sensation in your hand that kind of replicates what it would be if you brush your hand against the water, you kind of feel like it is actually there. Then you realize it's not, your hand's not getting wet, and then you kind of go, oh, okay. But it is very convincing, you know. The bit where there's a section that you use, you get to train with a bow and arrow, and you have to do the whole unstow the bow by reaching for it over your back, and then get arrows from the left side, and then you literally like load it into the bow and draw it back, and then let it go and aim for the targets and stuff. All it's weirdly intuitive and works, which I thought was pretty good. The game is called Call of the Mountain, and it's a Horizon game, so obviously there's a lot of climbing, as has been namesake of the game. And one thing that I found pretty weird is how, again, convincing it is that I think I'm going to run in headfirst into a wall as I'm making my character go forward, because there were multiple times that I had to run towards a wall. You're obviously looking for the markers that allow you to climb, and again, super convincing. I even flinched a few times. Like, nothing's going to hit me. It's just one of those things. And speaking of the climbing, there was a section where you have to go over a huge canyon, and you are shimmying across a rope, and you can, as you would imagine, look around, look down, look up, look over your shoulder, and fuck me, again, you do get a sense of, am I actually doing this? Because you're hanging there, your hands are actually in the air. So because I was standing up, like I kind of, in real life, I'm obviously planted on the floor, but in the VR, I'm not. And there's this sense of vertigo and just proper sense of height that you get. Again, honestly, pretty incredible stuff.
I appreciated that you explained that you were not actually really hanging.
No, I think the reason I say that is because when you're in the VR, you're having to reconvince yourself that you're not there. And that you're not going to fall.
I get it.
So it's a very strange sensation. And obviously, you've with the PSVR 1 and other VR headsets, there would have been stuff like this. But again, like as fidelity gets better, the visuals get better, you're starting to be more and more in tune with the fact which reality am I in. So.
Just on that, Kurt, what would you compare this to in terms of a generation of games, in terms of how it looks? Because obviously it doesn't look as good as the new games, but how does it look in front of you? How good graphically does it look?
Maybe like early to mid PS4 kind of games, I would say, but probably more early PS4. I would say, but even so, it still looks very good. This is obviously a flagship title for the unit, which I know other games don't look quite as good. There are other games that do look just as good, but because of how involved this one is, it's quite impressive how they've managed to make it look, given everything that you can do. Now, obviously, one of the things that I did struggle with, and I had to laugh about it each time. I felt like a newbie trying to learn a controller all over again, like when you used analog controller for the first time, like trying to strafe left, right, front, back, and look around using the camera, the right thumbstick. You know, it's because the way that you use the handsets, and the way you use the head, and in conjunction with the headset, you have to try and get used to this new way of movement, because to be more immersed and more involved with it, you can actually walk around, and it will track you as if you're walking around. And then there, obviously, because you'll be limited on space, you have to use the left thumbstick to kind of draw yourself back in if you get too close to an edge, which on that, there is a built-in feature which kind of, you can set a safe zone in your play space, and if you get too close to that safe space, a big red wireframe wall comes up, just to let you know that you've gone a bit too close to where you're not supposed to be, so you can draw yourself back in and obviously correct yourself whilst you're playing the game. But honestly, the tech is phenomenal, and it is there for developers to make something of it. They just need to fucking do it. Go on.
Yeah, I just got a question. One, did you get any motion sickness? And do you think that was helped because of the high frame rate?
I did not get motion sickness. I did get a little bit because you struggle to understand if you're in trying to distinguish between reality and not. At times, like I keep saying, you run into like a wall, you think you're going to run into a wall, so you kind of like jolt back or something. Like you've got to like learn that you are planted wherever you are, so that it's okay. So it wasn't a case of motion sickness, it was a case of me being stupid, thinking that I'm going to fall over or something, you know. But at not one point I get sick.
Could you imagine playing a full-fledged AAA game like that?
On two conditions. One, and I'm hoping it's just because the weather's been really hot lately, as we have said on the pod at the beginning. I got very hot wearing this. So because I had headphones on as well, like over-ear headphones, right. I personally run very hot anyway. So I then started to overheat whilst I had it on after a certain period of time.
I've never heard somebody talk about this. I personally run very hot.
I've heard that before.
I don't.
That's great. I love it.
Thank you, Pete. I'm glad I'm not like a complete moron in that respect.
No, not a moron. I thought it was cool because that's like what you'd say about a machine or something.
Yeah, mate, it happens. You've heard of someone being a furnace before because they just run hot. It's just in their blood. It must be the foreign in me. I don't know. It's one of those things. To answer your question, it's obviously about comfortability, and if it was...
Sorry?
Comfortability?
Is that not a word? Being comfortable?
Comfort would have done it.
Yeah, that's right. It's all about comfort. All right, fuck off. I told you, you did want us to disagree.
Here, so we need something.
Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I'll start Flemming in a minute. So, with it being comfortable, sure. If I was uncomfortable... Is that better for you, you bastards? Then no.
That's much better.
The other thing is you have to get used to the controls. You have to. It's very difficult. If you're doing, obviously, on rails games are super easy because all you're really doing is moving your arms around and movement is very limited. I loved how involved you can be in this game. Like you can walk around and it feels so much more immersive when you're able to do that, and you just correct yourself when you need to. But it needs. It's that learning curve. It is a learning curve essentially. So, but I did enjoy it. I said to my friend, like, it doesn't convince me to buy one at the moment, but it does show hope that it will and can get better. So
yeah,
I honestly like. It's one that I'm gonna definitely be keeping my eye on now. If there's more AAA games that come out, like Call of the Mountain, then definitely it's gonna be a winner.
Yeah, because it needs to be changed from that thing which you bring out and show your mate and he plays on for a bit and he goes, wow, that's really cool, to this is actually a system I want to buy. Like something that I can imagine playing by myself for hours and on end.
This is it. I do personally think it's there. I just, like, I don't want to... I think I need more time with it to be able to get used to it. I think that's the thing. Obviously, the games are a huge part of it because I'm not gonna buy it just for one game. That's ridiculous. But if there were more games coming out that warranted that kind of thing, and I was able to sit down for a longer period of time, it would be fantastic. It's obviously that by having it, I'd be learning and I could get better. So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
definitely a win.
Fair enough. Yeah, that feels almost more like it was a review of VR than the game, but I like it. I think that's kind of useful.
Yeah, well, you can't do the game totally in like an hour and a half or whatever, can you?
No,
it's using that PSVR and getting a feel for it. That's.
I think. Yeah. I just want to say I cannot stress enough the sense of scale. Like, honestly, it fucking is outstanding. I have to say that much. Like, you really do feel like you're in that moment, which is just incredible to see.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Right. Well, I mean, it feels slightly. Oh, go on, Ben. You sound like you're going to burst.
No, I was just saying that I don't know whether we want to. Cause we're going to move on to Diablo 4 now.
Yes.
So, and Pete's bought Diablo 4.
I have.
Fucking hell. Have you?
You bought
Honestly,
a full price game.
The amount of nagging from multiple angles forced me to.
Yeah, well, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
You were one of, but not.
I was part of the problem, not the problem.
You weren't exclusively the problem, yes. And it does mean I've paid full price for a game that it's the worst possible time to engage with. But that's how it is. Ben, I noticed you were going to put in your part of this that you've now played 70 hours.
Yeah, 72 hours.
I
think.
72 hours in 10 days. And to be fair, I've played 8 in 2 days. So I may not.
It does rack them up. It does rack them up.
I'm not full-time like Ben, but I am a part-time employee of Diablo 4. That's where we've got to, essentially, immediately. And we'll go into more of it, but I will start off with a few negatives.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
A few negatives.
Let's hear them.
So, I mean, the first one is partially on me. This is actually PC. I've bought it on, not Xbox, because I share a place. Like, you kind of can't dominate the TV, particularly not in an Ashes summer when cricket fans. So I had to go PC. And the PC controls are, shall we say, annoying. And without a controller would be genuinely problematic. One of the menu screens in the game, one of the ones in which you can't do anything else while the menu is up, is tied to the S key.
Oh.
That is infuriating when, even though you're using a mouse to click, and you know this, you're a PC player, so you default to WASD. You know what I mean? So
Yes,
at any moment you may just not think and press S, and then suddenly you're getting wailed on by the enemy and you can't do anything back.
Okay.
Until you click a tiny X button and partway down your screen.
Are you using a controller now? Is that
I am most of the time, yes. But
Cool.
that first day I was not. So yeah, that was a really annoying one, and it may or may not be the only way I've died so far. So I'm definitely not salty as fuck about it. Infuriating. The other ones are a little bit more balanced, I think, because the character creator, which I've seen a lot of attention on, and a lot of positive attention about the inclusivity of the character creator. Yes, you can change skin tones, skin colours, all sorts of different stuff, but really you're incredibly limited by body type. Like, every class, the man and woman in it, are interchangeable, except for the veneers. You know what I mean? The build doesn't change. You can't change their height. You can't change their weight, their body shape, any of that stuff.
Yep.
If you play as a druid, as I have done, you are a giant bear of a guy. Doesn't matter what skin colour, what hair colour, you're just this gigantic dude. Which, when I have absolutely no interest in playing a werebear, is really annoying. Like, I kind of want to see him as a werewolf dude, and a sort of skinny, lithe one, and you can't do that. It's not an option.
Yeah.
That was annoying.
I completely agree with that, because I didn't feel I didn't feel annoyed by it because I went with very standard class, but I can absolutely understand that, because I clocked that as well. Just like the variation is there, and the character creator is nice and it's very detailed and it looks lovely, but you're right, the base character in each class is pretty much the base character.
Yeah,
like their core stats of height, weight, and build. That's it.
Identical. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely identical. And that I thought was pretty frustrating, to be honest. And then the other negative I will bring in here, this may be a function of the fact that I'm rushing a bit, because I need to catch up with all the people who've been nagging me for a week to play this. The campaign. So Lilith is an interesting villain. I think I can say that up front. And the setup for it is really good. I thought the pre-release marketing of the story was really good. But actually in-game so far, I found it quite hard to give a shit about the problems. Because I don't have an inbuilt reason to, other than that I'm playing Diablo and I'm here to kill demons. Mm-hmm. And the world is so grimdark that I really don't care what happens to everyone who lives in it.
Okay.
So
I understand that. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so it's it so far it's felt an awful lot like it's all on the gameplay loop.
Yeah.
Some of the quests have been interesting, and I'm sure there is plenty more, especially in the side quests, that will draw my interest. But so far, I've been a little bit sort of like, okay, it's just a bit medium, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I would say in my opinion, the back end of the campaign is more interesting because there's greater character development on those around you. And if you want to, like, obviously this is a game where you can just mainline the campaign and not give a fuck. And a lot of people will be like that because they just want to open up the full game, essentially, by completing it. But if you do care about the campaign, and I think it's almost nice to spend a bit more time in that campaign, because I definitely had to mainline it at the end because I was approaching level 50, and that is where it kind of caps out. So I was like, oh shit, I've got 3-4 acts to go, and there's only 6 acts of the game. So and I've got to, and I'm level 50. Fuck, I've got to crack on. But if you do spend a bit more time, I think the last couple of acts, I really enjoyed them for the story. No, this is not the type of game where you're going to be, probably like Baldur's Gate would be or something, where you get these side quests which take you down a rabbit hole and really interesting. Most side quests you can just click through, not pay attention to anything because it's essentially the same thing. It's one of 6 to 8 different events that you have to go and do. So it's not really a game for that, but I definitely understand those criticisms, but I think that this campaign and this story is much better than Diablo 3's.
Fair enough. The other bit I suppose I did think of as I was doing this was, this is one of the few games since Elden Ring that I've been looking forward to, in terms of just sinking into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think possibly it suffers by that comparison, because to me Diablo as a lore universe is set up for giving you the option to go bad, and yet they haven't taken that chance. Whereas like in Elden Ring, you can literally become the main villain if you want to. Like, you can become the worst thing that exists on that planet. That's awesome. So I think maybe there's that to it as well for me.
Completely with you on that one, because there are several times throughout the campaign where you just go like, I wish I was given the option to turn heel.
Yeah, a heel turn option would be lovely.
I would just end this right now. I would just side right with Lilith. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, just bludgeon to the back of the head of the guy you're standing next to. Sir, she made a compelling point.
Exactly.
I'm with you, Lilith.
Her
Let's do
argument
this.
was there. It was on point.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, those are sort of the observations of things that aren't, this game is brilliant so far for me, but I will say it is a great game. Like, I've played 8 hours in 2 days, and I'm going to play it immediately after we finish this podcast. Like, the loop's really good. The Legion events, my God, they're great. They're
cool,
really
aren't they?
fun. Yeah,
Yeah, they're cool.
Super fun. And I've enjoyed the other smaller events that keep it fresh as you're grinding your way around the world.
Yes.
But the Legion event, like, I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the first time I did a Legion event, which is almost like it's not a world boss, but it's like the step down from that, where you've got loads of people, you got like 8 to 10 of you just all go to it. It'll say on the map, a Legion event will start in 5 minutes, and if you can get there in time, then you get to participate, don't you?
Yes, and it feels a bit like a horde mode, if you know what I mean, as well.
Yeah.
And it's really enjoyable as a breakout.
Yeah, it's good, and I mean a lot of those kind of form the basis of the post campaign. Like part of the game, and as we've talked about kind of off this podcast, Pete, like the mid game, which is the after you've complete. A lot of people will just complete the game, complete the campaign, and go, oh, that was lovely. Do side quests, do some dungeons or whatever, and have their 30 hours and go, yeah, that was fulfilling. That was good. That's a good game. But there is a hell of a lot after that to be doing. And as you said, I've played 72 hours. It's not something to be proud of. I've just committed to the bit.
You've done exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it just is what it is. I've put in a lot of time, and it is a good game. It's a really good game. I'm obviously really enjoying it, and every kind of spare time that I get, I just turn it on and I play, because the gameplay loop is compelling, and the post game stuff is busy enough. There's enough going on for me at the moment, and I really like the transition that's made. And as you just said with the Legion events, which are these and smaller events where when you're in the open world, there's just like random things going on, like in Destiny or something like that. Like you just get random little things that you can join in on. The end game is basically like this MMO with a real heavy single player slant.
Yes,
and I like that fine line that they are running. I like the world bosses. That's always a cool thing to do. But they do seem a little bit too easy. I hope they kind of push those up, because there's one thing that I really, and I want to get your take in a few weeks, Pete, on this, because coming from a WoW background like you do, I have watched the developer direct where they were asked about raiding and would they think about adding raids into this, and they've said like it is something we thought about and it's something we may consider going forwards, but no commitment either side. But I would love them to add some kind of raid mechanic in groups, where it's like a longer form kind of progression to boss to boss to boss kind of system. Not you get dungeons as are and stuff like that, but more of a purposeful raid system that they have. That would be very cool, because I think the only criticism I have of this game, and it's in its core design, so this will always be the case with a Diablo as it stands. Is there enough, once I've done this character and I've got it as far as I want, whether that's to level 100 or before or whatever, what is the next thing? In WoW, there's always like the raids and stuff like that, isn't it? There's the weekly stuff you can do, whereas this is more, there's a lot going on in that post game, but is it that you have to create your own stories? You have to start doing hardcore permadeaths, or you have to... Are they going to incorporate more MMO aspects? The fan base, I think, has changed on this one. I think this now appeals to the casuals.
Yes.
More so like me. Like, I can... There's a low barrier to entry here.
There is a very low barrier to entry.
It's very easy to understand.
It is. And it's the core foundation is such a solid loop as well, which isn't difficult to get into. So you know what you're getting into 2 hours into the game. Like, you've got a good sense of what you'll be doing. But
and I think the first, like, the period that I've played it, I think this is all geared towards the the casual fans, like people who think, oh, Diablo might be a bit too hardcore for me. I was like, it's not. It's very easy to get involved with, and the loop is incredibly compelling and easy to understand. I'm kind of interested in the long-term players, like what will the seasons be enough? What will be the thing that makes you want to continually play this as a forever game? And the idea may not be for it to be for a forever game, that it's not someone's game that they play every single week.
Yes.
That in the past I don't think has been the necessary appeal of a Diablo game. But this has all the potential to turn into that. It's just where they go to turn it into that, if you know what I mean.
Definitely. I think your desire for small raids, I think, is an interesting one, because class synergy doesn't play that much of a part in a primarily single-player game. Yes. So, you don't have things like threat meters, you don't have healers, tanks, and DPS.
Correct.
At this stage. So it would be an interesting one to see how they approached it.
And this was an interesting conversation that we had between it, because you said, you were discussing what character you might be, and you're saying, you're looking for synergies, like if we played together or something. And I went away from that conversation. I thought, I don't know if there would. I don't think, because it is a single player game that you're playing with other people. It's a different slant, isn't it?
Very much so. And while they have differences, the classes can fundamentally do the same things.
Yes.
They can all hack and slash if they need to, for one. So I would be interested to see how they'd make it work. That would be cool. I imagine the splash damage AoE between certain characters would be hilarious, though.
Yes. So... I think you can get some killer combos, and I'm not sure it's totally balanced, but that's okay. Yeah. I'm interested to see where they go with it. I just because after in the post, like, playing together, it is obviously designed as a multiplayer game because you level up so much faster with other people. Like, if you play with somebody else, you will. If you play by yourself, solely by yourself, you are playing for 2 to 3 times longer in the post game to level up. It's just mind blowing the amount of time you've got to put in. I could play for 2 to 3 hours, and maybe not even go up a level. Yeah, it's quite substantial. So they obviously are leaning towards that multiplayer, and it is so much fun in multiplayer just to go from thing to thing to thing. So they're definitely onto something. I just I'm really hopeful for the future of it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more of it as well. So it might not even be a couple of weeks from now, Ben. It might be next week that we're talking more about that. But we'll see. We'll see. 3 weeks on the trot for 2 of us. That'd be interesting. But for this week, we probably should move on to the feature, shouldn't we?
Yes.
Big
E3.
I mean, again, it's not E3 though. It's it's Summer Games Fest. Oh, shut up. It's Summer Games Fest and the Xbox Showcase. Obviously, both of these took place last week. Mm-hmm. And as opposed to trying anything like going through every single game, we are just going to do the high and low lights from our side. So we've obviously all watched them. Ben, I think you watched it live. Kirk, did you?
I did.
Did you watch them both live?
Yeah.
Nice. I watched Xbox and Starfield live. I sadly had to catch up on Games Fest, but that then makes Jeff Keighley all the more annoying when you realise you're watching it later. Never mind. And yeah, we've picked out a select few things. So I'll start because my initial thought from Summer Games Fest, I'm sure you know what's coming, is where the actual fuck is Silksong?
Somewhere.
Yeah, it's a common thing. Yeah.
Where is this game? It's coming out in the next 6 months.
No, I don't know if they said that it was.
They delayed it to the second half of 2023.
No, I think they delayed it further. They delayed it into 2020. They had a tweet recently and said it's 2020.
Was that the one a couple of weeks ago? Was it 2024 they pushed it to?
I don't think they even said a date. I think they just said taking longer than expected. But saying that, I did actually expect there to be something. The problem with this Summer Games Fest is that we have all these things beforehand, and even last week we were saying, well, we don't really know what's going to be there. Like we were saying, oh, maybe Mass Effect and Hollow Knight, and I was like, it just doesn't happen. Yeah. It just doesn't fucking happen. Like the surprises just. I swear, years ago, the surprises were just like bosh, like one after another. It just doesn't seem like that these days.
I mean, they had a pretty big surprise near the end, didn't they? So
they did.
They did. Spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah. God damn it. No.
But correct. It's still a game that we knew was. Anyway, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. No. Okay. I get what you mean.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose we're looking at that in hindsight, and it's kind of like watching the Premier League highlights and going, wow, that guy's an amazing player when you haven't watched the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're looking back on old ones, you only remember the highlights, don't you?
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Yeah, so that was obviously the biggest low light for me, was the lack of Silksong, but someone go more positive. One of you two, go on.
Well, I'll go. I'll go.
Yeah, you go.
Okay.
I love the fact that Sonic Superstars was announced. I didn't even know about it.
Okay, tell us what this is, because people
the game
love this.
The trailer started with old school Sonic from the Mega Drive days. So we think initially when I saw this, I thought, oh great, we're gonna get a Sonic Mania 2, because Sonic Mania that came out a couple of years ago was fucking fantastic, which was like a upgrade of the old Sonic, but in the modern age. But still old.
Yes.
It was a new game.
It was a new old
originally
Sonic.
A fan made.
Yeah.
Originally a fan made project.
Yes, I think so. So yeah, thought that was the case, and then he runs through this. The screen splits in half, and he runs through what looks like the end of the level, and he goes into a half which is basically updated visuals, but still on a side-scrolling plane, and then he runs back and forth, and then suddenly we get this trailer of what the new game is, which is essentially just a side-scrolling Sonic, but with updated graphics, which looks fucking incredible, to be honest with you. It was, like I said, a nice surprise, because I didn't anticipate this coming. I guess time will tell, because we did get Sonic 4 several years ago that was shit, and that was a side-scrolling Sonic game. Yeah. But I think what they're doing with this is it literally is probably going to be a copy and paste of the old school side-scroller, and just be updated visuals for the newer generation, I guess, just to kind of get into Sonic a bit more. I'll tell you what would be pretty cool. It's very unlikely that they'll do this, but you know, like in Halo Anniversary, where you could flick back and forth between the old graphics and the new graphics. If they did something like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. But this isn't a remake.
No,
this
it's
is
not.
A new game.
Yeah, it's a brand new game, new mechanics. You can play co-op with up to 3 other people. I'm not 100% sure if it's couch co-op, because that would be quite nice to be able to play with a roommate. And yeah, it just looks wonderful, to be honest. Like exactly the kind of thing that I kind of need right now. One of those things I don't need to think too hard on, and it's a familiar IP. And I can just sit down and enjoy without thinking too hard when I get a minute.
Yeah, it'd be great if this game is good, because the latest 3D Sonic that came out I thought was really good as well. So, you know, it's nice to see Sonic actually...
He's having a good year. He's having a good year.
Yeah.
He'll get a film soon, I'm sure. Another one.
A third one.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I thought you'd have loved this, Kirk, and I thought it looked really good for what we got.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right.
Go on, Ben.
Well, I'll mention a bit of a bigger one. So Spider-Man 2 actually got a release date. So they came out on stage and they started talking about the box art or something like that, and had an image on the screen that everyone like shouted at, "Yay, great!" or something. Okay, why? Fine. And then they said the 20th of October, and like, which would be fine in any normal like event or anything. Like, that's cool. Spider-Man's got a release date, Spider-Man 2. But like, I can't shake the feeling of like, Sony, just fuck off and do this on your own time. Like, you had your event. Your event was absolutely fucking wank. And you could have made it better by having a release date. And you've just gone, right, we can get 2 lots of advertising if we go in there. It was like they wanted to steal the show. And it's like, nah, you didn't.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you started
like
negative. But yes, I was also very annoyed by this. Not least because I don't care about Spider-Man, but also just turning up just to do that and just to drop the date. Like, I
think
yeah, exactly.
No.
Put it on your fucking blog, Sony.
Yeah, I mean, they may as well have with how this turned out, to be honest with you. So
yeah, just send a tweet. Yeah. It's fine. It was irritating. Actually, it's one thing we should probably say about the overall show. I thought there was too much stage stuff.
There was.
It really took away momentum at some points as well. Like, and I mean, the Nicolas Cage bit. I love Nicolas Cage. He's a great bloke, but that was a bit painful.
So Nicolas Cage is in Dying Light. He's a character now in Dying Light, a survivor.
He's playing Nick Cage, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's playing himself. And I think, Pete, you're saying something good there, because I actually thought the first 40 minutes of this show, so it went on about 2 hours, didn't it? The first 40 minutes I thought were pretty damn good.
Good pacing.
But good pacing. There was a lot of stage stuff, but that's fine. I just think they don't realise that people's attention span doesn't last 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so you can't have these continual stage things. I don't know, but there was a lot of people talking on stage.
Maybe that's why they brought out that guy that had fucking high energy for Marvel Snap.
Oh man,
he was through the roof.
That was off the charts.
Manic levels. Yeah, that was.
Kirk texted me at that time, went, calm the fuck down.
Yeah, it was a strange approach, but
right.
But yes, back on to some actual highlights, because you and I have both started out here negatively, Ben.
Yeah,
I will go. Let's talk about Baldur's Gate 3, because
lovely.
To be honest, amidst everything else, I'd almost forgotten Baldur's Gate 3 was coming quite soon, and then it appears, and my God, the city looks good, and then Jason Isaacs appears. And that seems like a fantastic choice as a voice actor. It is. He's a great actor. And it's coming out in like 3 months, 2 months. Like, this is all great stuff.
I think you'd be forgiven for not remembering, because it's been out in early access for about 25 years. Exactly,
yeah. Yeah, and you forget the full release is coming. And it's, I mean, September's looking pretty stacked when we get right down to it. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is not far away. Like,
yep, that's a good one.
Yeah, love that.
It's a good one. I have a good one that was shown. So Prince of Persia is back in a 2D, like, platforming Metroidvania. It's like a revival of the franchise. Now, what they showed here at Summer Games Fest, I thought looked quite good. I thought it looked quite good. But it did get a bit of a panning online, I think, because people wanted a big, fully fledged Prince of Persia. However, fast forward like a couple of days to the Ubisoft Forward event, which was absolutely cracking. Their trailers were fantastic. I mean, their presentation has a lot to be desired, but the actual trailers were brilliant. And they showed off more of this game. It looks brilliant. The combat looks great. It looks very similar in a way to like the latest Metroid game on Switch. It's the combat. There's a time mechanic. It just looks so fluid. It looks outstanding. For it's a 2.5D as well. 2.5D Prince of Persia. Yes. Yeah, this is a day one, and it's January 2024. This was kind of out of nowhere. I was really, really pleased to see this. And it was one of the opening things in the show as well. And
it was.
It was one of the first couple, and I was like, yeah, lovely. Okay, good kick-off this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what, as well? The 2D sort of platforming style it came with, actually, instead of making me think it was backward, it just reminded me of all the sort of good times on things like Aladdin. Remember back in the day? And that was quite a nice thing to see, because you so rarely see anything like that at this level.
Yeah. It looked really, really accomplished though as well. So, it was a good one of the good starters to the show.
Another good starter to the show was the gameplay reveal of Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah,
I
it
thought
was.
you'd like this.
It fucking was, Kurt.
I mean, we got the trailer. When was it? Like a week before or something? A couple of weeks before, and they showed a little bit more, but then a lot more of what the game is actually capable of. And it looks. I mean, I'm not a fighting game fan. I've dabbled a little bit in Mortal Kombat before, but what they showed here does look really phenomenal. I'm not 100% sure how the timeline works with this now, because I've tried to get my head around it, but something happened in Mortal Kombat 11 where someone changed the timeline, which is why it's now being reset to Mortal Kombat 1 rather than being the 12th entry. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know. But there's this cool feature where you get cameos, where it's basically like a quick tag team, tag in, tag out kind of thing with a teammate. It's not like a full on tag team style feature, just it's you get someone come in and just help you briefly, which can be quite decent, but it looks very violent. It looks very pretty, the way it in the same vein as being violent. Yeah, just I've got to keep my eye on it, because Mortal Kombat seems to be on the rise. Like it seems to be really prevalent in the moment. So yeah, I just love the way it looks. The fatalities as well. Come on, they were
Fatalities look fucking good.
I love how they brought them all at the end as well. Like they had all these different like cuts of different fights and stuff, and then suddenly it was like fatality, and then fatality, just repeating. It's great.
Yeah, it was a really good gameplay trailer. I thought it looked really smooth. It looked interesting. I'm not a fighting game fan, but I also think that Street Fighter 6 has done them an absolute solid, because Street Fighter 6 has come out in recent weeks and had rave reviews.
Yes.
Like, just like jaw-dropping reviews. That has helped Mortal Kombat 1, because now fighting games are back.
Yeah.
Back in vogue. Yeah.
And it's a perfect time to be a fighting game fan, and also for these games to come out kind of in tandem. And they are different games, and I think the fighting game community does view them as like different genres within this, different subgenres within the genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks great. I'm probably never going to play it, because I'm fucking terrible at these types of games, and these games are ultimately designed to be played online, aren't they?
It's also not. It's very far from a button basher. You can't button bash on these things. You have to actually know what you're doing, because I booted up Mortal Kombat 11 last week, actually, just to kind of do some fatality stuff, and I was just like, fucking hell, I need a degree to do this. Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. I couldn't. Yeah, it's beyond me. I'm too stupid.
But anyway, look fantastic. So,
yeah, it's good.
Excellent. And Ben, I know you had another one which stood out to you, 'cause it stood out to me as well.
Path of Exile 2. So, it seems like I'm an ARPG guy now. So I love Diablo 4. So therefore, Path of Exile 2 now catches the old interest. So I think it's had a bit of a troubled development. They got this little segment in Summer Games Fest, I think, just to basically be like, we do exist. And it was like 30 seconds of gameplay. I thought that gameplay looked really nice. I thought graphically it looked good. I thought the lightning effects, again, it's very Diablo. I saw a lot of comments online saying, I'm playing Diablo right now. If somebody had said that's Diablo, I would have said yes.
Yeah.
But the first one, Path of Exile, was a genuine rival to Lost Ark and Diablo 3 and games like that. Like, it was genuinely like a Diablo 3 rival.
Still incredibly well regarded now. Yeah.
And a lot of people hold it in higher regard. I mean, because Diablo 3, some definitely put that as not as good an entry as previous ones. So I hadn't played it. I was a Diablo 3 person. But I thought this looked fucking good. I'm very excited. They're going to be talking about it more on the 28th of July through to the 30th. There's like some event going on. So we'll probably get a release date. It will be an early access to start with. But again, it will be a 6-chapter campaign through to a massive end game. And I think they love their detail in the end game. So yeah, I think after the Diablo fix has kind of like died down a little bit, this could be the next one if Diablo is something I'm dipping in with.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought you probably would get this, to be honest, because I reckon it'll be about time to have something that's different, but not that far apart.
Yes. Yes.
And we'll round this off with one where it's kind of a game that I'm linking to something else. and I'm using it to finish this because obviously the bit that drew me in was the Witcher Series 3 trailer, which I'll admit I enjoyed, and I'm really going to miss Henry Cavill as Geralt. Like, I am. I enjoyed that a lot. I liked that being in there. And following it with Witchfire, I thought worked really well. So, Witchfire, by the way, this is the sort of magic meets gunpowder game. I mean, it's definitely an action, isn't it? And I will be very interested to see if there's enough plot to keep me hooked.
Mate, it's gonna be shit.
That is the worry, isn't it? But I am intrigued. I like the witch hunter vibe, and I like the magic and gunpowder. Oh. So I'm still keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, fair enough. Could be completely wrong, but
I can understand why. I did think it's another one that's that kind of Doom style gameplay, which doesn't really do much for me. Yeah, but you tied it to the Witcher trailer and followed it. It worked for me. It was a well done package.
Yeah, Gash game can look a bit better.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. We'll see where we go. But those obviously were the high and low lights for us from Summer Games Fest. The other low light obviously being Jeff Keighley, who is continually irritating.
I like Jeff.
I know you do. I know
Jeff
most
Stan.
People do, I'm sure. But God.
I don't think most people do. I don't know. He's mixed, but I'm on
he's clearly
Team
popular enough to keep doing it, but I am not on Team Jeff. And obviously we haven't mentioned all of the other things in there. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was involved.
Yeah, so that was the big reveal at the end that Kirk alluded to. So that is the second in that Final Fantasy VII remake type stuff. Did you all notice Jeff's the thing that he did in the middle of the show, where he said
he's doing a DoorDash bit.
He was talking about DoorDash and Final Fantasy Link, and then everyone went, because they thought he was going to be showing this trailer. He went, no. And I thought at that time, I was texting Kirk, and I was like, oh right, yeah, okay. He shut that down pretty quickly. He designed all of that, and then at the end they revealed this trailer, which looked good if you're into that remake, and loads of people are.
Just a side note to that. Apparently, this game comes on 2 PS5 discs.
Wow,
it does. Yeah,
that's how big
classic
it is.
Final Fantasy VII. Love it. When we get back to 4, we'll know it's the right time. Love it. But yeah, we also saw a little bit more of Mirage, didn't we? Assassin's Creed, that is. And Under the Wave, which we mentioned.
Did, yes. Assassin's Creed Mirage looked really nice.
It looks like a return to form, doesn't it?
It does, and supposedly it's 15 to 20 hour game as well, which is nice.
That's digestible.
Yes, it is. And also, I mean, we're not talking specifically about the Ubisoft Forward event, but they seem to have showed when they did their own presentation, which I thought the trailers were excellent for. That they also showed Avatar Frontiers there, looked excellent. They showed a lot of these games which seem to be slightly going away from their standard formula, and Mirage is one of those where it's not just like a huge map and all the icons, because it's a 15 to 20 hour game, I think
let's see good. When we get it. I don't trust them, but yes,
okay,
I still don't trust them, but let's see when we get it. It's all positive signs. But I think it's about time we move on to the Xbox showcase in Starfield. And that's not just because that was actually quite long. I mean, Games Fest was 2 hours, but it deserved some time. But still, it's time to talk Xbox and Starfield.
Can we just give our impressions of the Xbox showcase to start with?
Go on then.
Can we say that? How do we?
Of course.
Kirk, how did you feel about the Xbox event?
Online I said 6.5 out of 10, but I'm going to reduce it down to a 6 overall.
Okay. I'm not going to rank it out of 10. I thought it was better than Sony's.
I mean,
whoa!
That wasn't a tall order. That wasn't a tall order.
Yes, it's another limbo bar to hurdle, but still, I thought it was a lot better on that front, and there was a lot of stuff to be excited about. I still think there's a lot of guff involved as well. Does that sound fair?
I think that sounds fair. Like my impression of the Xbox showcase. Forget the Starfield bit, because the Starfield bit I thought was fantastic. We'll talk about that. The Xbox showcase on its own, I was kind of frustrated with the kind of lack of gameplay, really, and solid dates. I thought, just as a starter, they opened up with Fable, and that was heavily linked. We talked about that, didn't we? Like they were, they said that was going to happen, all this kind of stuff. No information has been passed.
No.
Like, and people are really, oh, Fable, oh, amazing, oh, it looks fantastic, oh, that's a great, like, oh, they've showed off the tone. Well, of course they know the fucking tone. They've played the other games. We know that we've played the other games. We know the fucking tone. That's what it is, you know.
But Ben, you last week alone, we were talking about how sometimes you just like to be reminded something exists.
I know, but the problem with this is it's been development for years. It's been development for years, Pete. What this said was, this isn't coming out for fucking years. That's all it did. No information has been passed. Nothing's been shown, and people go, "Oh, what a great start!" I just thought,
although, wouldn't it be
so weird how you can convince people?
Wouldn't it be funny though if it does come out next year? I know it won't, but it would be.
Well, then yes. Then I'd be saying, well, why didn't you show us gameplay?
To your point, the thing that did frustrate me. So Aaron Greenberg did actually say that there would be no CGI trailers in this presentation, which was sort of true, but it was also not, was it? So we had a lot of in-game engine trailers, which
he did specifically say that he had in-game trailers
would be a thing. Yeah.
It's just there was a lot of them. We wanted to actually see stuff.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And when people talk about, I'm not against in-game stuff when it's like almost like verging on the gameplay.
Yeah.
But everything they showed here seemed, and even because this isn't on our list, but even when they showed Hellblade 2, it's actually on yours. You talk about Hellblade 2, Kurt. You talk about Hellblade.
Okay.
No. Kick into that.
No. Before we get to that, I think it's a very fair point. What they're maybe not understanding is we don't hate CGI trailers just because they're CGI. We hate the trailers where it's not showing us anything about what we're going to get.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the issue. It's not just because it was computer generated. The game is also computer generated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the game world. So if you're going to fix an issue, fix the right one. Anyway,
I think
now, please, Kirk.
it's the fact that we have been asking Xbox to show us the games and actually show us the games in motion, get them going, so we can actually see what we're going to be playing, not just see what you want us to see. And Hellblade 2 is a perfect example of that, because there was about 10-12 seconds of her walking, which was after a short cutscene and then into a longer cutscene, which, sure, looked fantastic. And if that is actually what it's going to look like, brilliant. But it was just an in-game cutscene that didn't need to be like what it was. Show us what the fucking game's actually going to be like. I don't want to watch what you're, like, you know, what she's doing and part of her story and stuff. I want to fucking figure that out myself.
Yeah, Kurt, the best example here would be, you know, like when you play God of War Ragnarok.
Yes.
And it flips from gameplay into the cutscene back into gameplay. Yes, that's all in engine. All looks great. It's all seamless. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, great. But that cutscene is not the fucking game.
No, it's not.
Because the game is on a very set linear path, hack and slash thing. You can't affect the environment. Or, you know, that's the game.
Yeah.
The cutscene is same seamless engine and all that kind of stuff, but it's not the game. And I just, the Hellblade one, they're like, oh, all captured on Series X. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't show anything. You showed a cutscene.
It is true.
Oh my god!
But anyway, look. All that aside, they did show a lot of stuff, which is what people needed. They just didn't show quite what they needed. So.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what. Like this showcase has gone down really, really well with people. Like, and I think Pete, you made the point before. Like, just show people the stuff in any form and say it's happening, and that seemed to be the case. But the theme of this was, next year for Xbox is going to be great. We've been saying that every fucking year.
Yeah, that is also a very valid point.
They didn't shake that in this showcase. It was next year is going to be the fucking one.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of first party stuff which made a change. That's the flip side of it.
I said it. I think I said it last week that Xbox are fantastic. Usually, really good at giving showcases. It's delivering the games that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yes. So, with that in mind, and before we bag on them too much again, because we have a habit of doing that to everyone after a showcase, What? Come on. Other than Hellblade, which clearly Kirk you're keen on, despite the presentation. What are the highlights? Ben,
I
give
liked
us
Star Wars
positivity.
Outlaws. Star
There
Wars
we go.
Outlaws.
I thought you would. Yep.
Yeah, and they showed this again. Ubisoft knocked it out of the park with their trailers in their Ubisoft Forward event. They showed actual gameplay. Take no Xbox. Was really good.
Sake.
I thought I didn't think it was the smoothest on the compressed stream, so I haven't checked it out afterwards. But people have said it looks great usually. But it's a fresh take on Star Wars, like as a human. No lightsabers involved. They at this particular event they just showed a cutscene, not a cutscene, a CGI trailer for this game. But in the Forward event, they showed all the gameplay, and it looks really good. Seamless kind of transition to dogfighting in space as well. Like there's the blaster stuff they showed was very, very good. It seemed kind of stealth mechanics, and it just seemed a very good single player game. And I thought this might be something slightly different. I thought it might have been going down a bit more of a bounty hunter route, but I think it's a narrative-driven single-player story game. But
yes, that's what I've understood as well.
It looked very polished from what we saw, so yeah, very interested.
Yeah, and you get your own furry version of Baby Yoda, don't you? So
yeah, there you go. I think that's what they're doing to justify her speaking to herself a lot.
Yes.
You get these games like Forspoken or whatever. She's speaking to the amulet or whatever.
Didn't seem quite as annoying as other games though. Which
no, and I think it is more justified when it's like in Jedi Survivor when he's talking to
the robot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it seems a bit more justified if there's like a living thing, not the robot's not living, but you know what I mean.
No, understand.
Like with you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, really interested about that. Wasn't expecting it, didn't know it was happening, and I that's what these showcases are all about for me, because games that we didn't know were happening,
surprises.
Yes,
and there were not a lot of surprises in big AAA surprises anyway.
True, and I'd say this was one of the better ones for sure. I'll be watching that with interest myself. I mean, I say that both of the main highlights I've got on here are ones I already knew about and was already hyped for. But Phantom Liberty, it does look really good.
It does.
Fucking class, doesn't it?
It looks so good.
Just before you get into this, Pete, can we just take a moment to appreciate Keanu's intro for it and how he ran off before he cut to the screen?
Yes, I did enjoy that. But oh my god, this looks great, and it's solving so many issues by the looks of it. Like everyone who's played that game knows there was a massive gap in Pacifica, which was just not being used.
Yeah.
We haven't actually said the name Cyberpunk yet. This is Cyberpunk's
expansion. Yes, this is the expansion to Cyberpunk 2077.
To be fair, Cyberpunk is actually really small in font when they're advertising this. Phantom Liberty is the big thing. When you see all the advertising, so you wouldn't realise it's actually a Cyberpunk thing if you didn't know.
Yeah. To be fair, they have got previous for doing that for The Witcher as well, though, because Blood and Wine was similar style. This is the thing. Maybe I'm getting hyped because of how good Blood and Wine was as finishing The Witcher. And then, they've got previous. They've done this before. But lots of the other stuff we've seen in follow-up around this, they're remaking an awful lot of the way the game functions.
Yes,
they've redone the skill trees. They've redone the way the equipment works. They've added in the car chasing and gunfight kind of thing that people expected the first time round.
Yep.
And then they've created Dogtown, which is an entirely new expansion area, and also fills in the stadium. Everyone, you must remember the stadium in Cyberpunk. You can see it from like half the city.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of us, I think, who actually clicked through the game to get inside that to see it, and were very disappointed. And now we will no longer be disappointed. This is all wonderful stuff. And it's got Idris Elba.
Yeah.
What more could you want?
It looked fantastic. It really, really did. And like you say, it reinvents a lot of the game. Yeah. It's how
Cyberpunk should have launched.
Yeah, and they said that this is their most expensive or biggest expansion they've ever done.
Yes, I think it was most expansive, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got to expect 20 hours, 20 plus.
Certainly.
Like Blood and Wine was about that, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So yeah, you've got to expect the same type of thing, and it looked outstanding. Like, and it's to DLC, and it just they really did that trailer well.
They did, and I think that's the other bit of introducing the spoilers. The concept of a cure for the main character is a really good way to advance that story, isn't it?
Yep.
Like, so yeah, it's another one for September as well. So again, September is looking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am on the hype train, and Eddie's not here to choo choo. Choo choo. There we go. Thank you, Kurt.
Oh,
There you
nicely
go.
done, Kurt.
Right, speaking
that
of
one.
things going choo choo, which they don't actually, but it
dear
is
God.
it is a motor. I was trying to segue it, but did a terrible job.
Okay.
We obviously got the release date for Forza Motorsport, which was quite a big deal. We kind of knew it was coming this year, but we didn't have a date set in stone for it. So it's coming October 10th. I'm not really sure why they needed to do the little intro with the two car manufacturers from GM, but car history.
They got paid. They must have got paid.
But they did show it was a mixture of in-game cinematics with actual gameplay, and can't deny it does look great. So this is, my thoughts on this. It is a roomy game. It's not going to be one I take too much time into, but it is the first next-gen racer that's coming to any platform. So
you're not going to put too much time into it?
No, because I prefer Horizon, because I prefer the arcadey style. This is a simulator which I just don't have the patience for, but I do want to. Like I said, it's the first next-gen racer on any platform, and racing games are usually the games which show off what console can actually do. So,
I thought you were all in on this.
no,
Didn't you have a renty video entitled "Where is Forza Motorsport"?
yeah, I did that about a year and a half, 2 years ago, mate. Got about 50,000 views, and
You fickle person. Yes.
Now you don't even give a fuck.
I know.
busy
Oh,
man.
God.
Busy man. What do you want from me?
What game are you interested in actually playing?
Sonic Superstars.
There we go. There we go.
You had an answer immediately. I can't argue with
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So, go on. Before we move to Starfield, what else?
that. They showed Avowed, didn't they? They showed
They
Avowed.
did. Yes, they did. Which,
What do you think?
It's in an interesting place, isn't it? This one.
Oh, it's in an interesting place because I thought it was in a good place, and it turns out it's in a shit-looking place. I don't know. No, I'm joking. Like, it looked like a graphical downgrade to me. It looked like they changed graphical style or something.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know whether, because this is Obsidian who are making this game now. Obviously, they have well-written games, good stories, etc. But it looked odd. That we saw a trailer a couple of years ago, which was kind of a hybrid gameplay CGI type thing.
Yes.
And now that looked quite. Dog's going off on. That looked quite dark but did have a slight cartoony kind of look.
It's always had a bit of a cartoon.
But this looked full Sea of Thieves meets Tiny Tina's.
I mean, it's definitely headed in that direction. I'm not sure I'd say full, but it's most of the way, 80% of the way.
Yeah. So I don't know. It like the trailer didn't do anything for me. It was like, oh, this is Avowed. Okay. Right.
I'm still interested in this game, it must be said, but the combat looks like the bad bits of old Elder Scrolls combat.
Yeah.
It's trying to be like Obsidian's Elder Scrolls. That's how it feels still. But
I think that's how they were trying to build the game originally. But now there's no need for that because, Microsoft owns everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they've lost.
Maybe that is the problem, and I had to pivot. I'd just like to say at this point that it seems obvious that they actually showed gameplay here, and now I'm complaining about what it looks like.
Yeah. Which is why lots of them don't show gameplays.
Exactly. So that's probably why, isn't it? So
yeah, we're the root of the problem.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, you're the problem. Okay, moving on from that. I think you had another one as well, didn't you, Ben?
Yeah, just that Persona. It was leaked before the event, but Persona 3 Reloaded and Persona 5 Tactics. Leaked pre-show. Great gets for Xbox. Really good to see Persona 3 getting a remake because it's rough to play now, especially if you played the later. If you played 4 and 4 Golden, 5 Royal, whatever you want to play, 3 is rough. So it's nice that this is getting a remake. Tactics 1 looked really cool. Looked
excellent.
A bit XCOM-y. So yeah, good.
I'm glad you were happy.
Nice to see that Atlas for once are trying to make some money rather than putting on a fucking PS Vita or something, and that's it.
They're going to give it away for free now, aren't they? Yeah. So that was obviously...
It's coming to Game Pass.
Yes.
That's the big get. Point. That was coming to Game Pass.
There you go. So these were obviously the main things in the Xbox showcase. And for us, obviously, again, we'll have missed out quite a few things. Do go back and watch it yourself if there's other stuff of interest, or let us know on the socials later as well. But we do need to come to Starfield, and we do kind of need to keep it short. And that's only because there's no way we can do this justice. So when I say go watch it yourself, I do mean Starfield as well. It is an hour almost just on this game, and
their presentation was fucking fantastic. Like,
good. We're going in the same way.
I'm not even really into what Starfield is because I've just never been a big Bethesda player, but it does look phenomenal. And just going back to what we said at the beginning of the pod, where does it really fucking matter? No, it's not going to fucking matter about your frames per second, because look at what this game is offering. So
there's one sort of flaw in that plan, which I'll come to at the very end. But I will say, if you've given yourself this long a showcase, they filled that entirely. Like, the scale, the breadth of this is pretty mad in theory. The level of customizations, the level of space, and I mean actual space to explore, all of that kind of stuff, it just looks ridiculously good.
It did. They did an amazing job at getting the hype up, and it did help with obviously the very inspirational music going on in the background. But they set the tone wonderfully. They really sold it. The expansive nature of the game, it looked very good. They basically kept saying these outlandish statements of basically you can do anything, you can be anything without limits. They said, I think was it Sarah Bond at the start of the showcase called it like the most important RPG of the generation, something outlandish, you know? And you're like, Jesus, they are really getting behind this game.
Shoving eggs in that basket. Like,
yes, if Starfield does not deliver, holy hell.
Xbox is dead.
Is the risk. Well, no, this is the risk, because I don't know about you guys, but the stunning similarities to No Man's Sky in terms of what you're saying it can achieve could so easily be mirrored in the stunning disappointment by people when they get hold of this, as they were originally with No Man's Sky. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're setting yourself up against that in a similar fashion. And if people then go to it and find out that these 1,000 planets are 990 of them are the same, that's a risk.
I agree. What they set up was like almost a forever game.
Yes.
They set up like that it's so expansive you can just do, you could just play it. This is just the game that you can just be immersed in for your life. That's what they kind of like. They didn't say that, but they kind of gave that impression that it was just so wild. When actually, you know what games can be? This game will probably be able to be mainlined in 35 hours.
The plot.
And when you say that, you go like, okay, well, how is that possible? And it did have that. One thing they didn't talk about the plot really at all.
Yeah, that was. I thought that was probably quite clever. They mentioned the Constellation Company and all the rest of it, but that's about it. And it's that sort of maybe go in and find out for yourself is what they're hoping to.
This is it. They kept saying about how this is your story. This is all about you. They want you to make your own story, and they've just got that main line for you to work around.
But hopefully not too much, though. As in, like, I want to be able to do all this other stuff, but the only thing, and I think Pete and I were discussing this as well, to me was like, okay, well, if I worry a little bit that they might have all of this stuff and it's a bit of jack of all trades and then can't deliver on the heights of any of it, and then the story suffers. And I don't know, like, I'm trying to. It looked so damn impressive.
Yeah,
but I just don't believe it.
This is it. You have to. I think there has to be a little bit of doubt maintained until we see it. But we also have to remember that this is the same people who did Skyrim, who did the previous Elder Scrolls, who did the Fallouts. They've got previous for doing good stories weaved
They
into
do,
a
yeah,
larger world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm actually very sad Eddie's not here to talk about this, because things like the base building and the ship customizations, he'll be all over that.
He will
It
be.
seemed unreal. It seemed
Yeah,
unreal, like
it's
what you could
insane.
When they made
The
that
amount
mech,
of time you could
that mech
waste.
robot, like
Yes,
sorry,
yeah,
the
that's
ship.
it.
Sorry, that was It's
But
It seemed outrageous.
it does. But this is the thing: we cannot in any way summarize it well quickly. So I feel, other than the fact that at least me and Ben are completely on the hype train and Kirk is watching it with interest,
yeah.
you kind of have to watch this, don't you? If you're in any way interested in Starfield, you have to see this for yourself.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It elevated it in such a way that I thought the main showcase was like a 6 as well, Kirk. But this elevated it to really, if you're looking at a complete package, that turned it up to like a 9. This Starfield thing on its own was about as good as it gets for a deep dive presentation into a game.
Yeah.
And so much so that there was a 1 minute trailer or something for Starfield in the middle of the Xbox show.
Yeah.
And I mean, like if I were them, I probably would have had it as the opening thing, because then it's like top and tailing and it's like your big thing you're showing at the start. They've shoved it into the middle, which was nice, because then it said, "Oh, stick around for the end." Kind of, I quite liked it, but that 1 minute trailer that they showed did nothing.
No.
It was like a 1% compared to this 100%.
But do you know what this direct that they did, and just to reiterate to the listeners, if you haven't seen it, this is exactly how you do a deep dive on anything when you're doing a game. Like, you know exactly what everything does, apart from some loose questions that we've said about, they didn't say anything about the story, that kind of thing. This is just the perfect way. The pace of it was fantastic, and just the knowledge that you get was incredible. So,
and the enthusiasm
that
they had for it. I mean, I know obviously they're reading and putting, but it seemed like they're putting so much into this game. They are saying it's so good. It kind of has to be.
Yep, definitely.
Well, we don't have that long really now to wait until we find out.
We don't.
3 months.
But
especially with that early access, Pete.
exactly, yeah. Oh, yeah. Stop reminding me. So if people go on, Kirk.
I just want to say, I watched the Capcom showcase last night. It was fucking dog shit. There was nothing on Resident Evil, no new Resident Evil, no remake of a Resident Evil. There was nothing on Dino Crisis, and everything was just garbage, hot garbage.
That's on you, Kirk. That's not on them.
I wish I want my half an hour back.
You chose to watch that. You knew what was happening going in. But if people had different views on the showcases or things they thought we missed, how would they get in touch with us, Ben?
They can email us, podcast@grumpygamers.co.uk, or you can tweet us at grumpygamerspod.
You know, you used to say that with so much more vim and vigour, Ben. It's going to get to a point where you just be like, just email me.
I had slight vim.
Just enough vim to end with a GG, I'm sure.
GG.
GG.
Oh, that was... Kirk's was very unenthusiastic.
That was bad. GG.